What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. You can see my broken hand here, but today I'm going to be walking you guys through a implementation call I had with some of our clients who had a major issue with nationwide wholesaling, and they were using digital marketing leads, and they had a small deal size, and they had a low contract to sold deal rate. And like, this is not just exclusively a problem for nationwide wholesalers, and they're in like 8 or 10 different markets. It's also a problem that I see in single market wholesalers who just get a little bit too complex in their marketing strategies alone, and it basically really crushes the business. So I had a guy earlier who was doing about 15K a month, and we took them to $125,000 per month in 6 months. I'm going to be walking these guys through in this video that you're going to be able to watch the exact steps and processes they need to do and how to do it, just like Devin did on how he transformed his business from 15K to 125K. So the things that I showed these guys today in the video will be able to 9x their business in the next 6 months if they implement it all correctly. So that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Leave a comment down below of anything that you like or want more of. And if you guys like the style of content, please let me know as well. Enjoy the video. We'll get right into it.
Yeah, before we get into the good stuff, I obviously have your onboarding sheet here, but you guys want to give me a rundown on kind of where you're at, what you're doing as far as marketing, your systems, where you guys are at, and where you guys want to go?
For sure. So right now, like I said before, so we're only doing inbound on Facebook. We're running, I think, 15 markets across like 6 or 7 different states. All those, and we're spending probably 6 to 7 grand a month right now just on like the marketing side. And so I do all the marketing stuff. Corey does dispo and ops, and then Brett does acquisitions. So right now, as leads come in, we have a lead manager too, David, who's not on the call. He's just one of our commission only guys. So leads will come in. They usually will have David hit them first, or Brett, just depending on availability, because they come in at all hours of the day, and then they'll take them through a process, and Brett can kind of talk about it more. We do like a 3-step, so discovery, like a discovery call, get their 4 pillars, whatever, process call, and then an acquisitions call. And so we run all of that. We're like switching CRMs right now. We want to go to close. We're managing that mostly through Discord and REI Sift right now, and then once they get something locked up, then it gets handed to Corey for dispo or for innovation. He'll take them through that process.
And then I'll just add that we also have 2 VAs that supplement like admin tasks, whether that's sending out my email blasts, comping properties for Brett ahead of time, so he has like all the information like succinctly ahead of his calls, and then just handling like general things in between to keep the ball moving.
How we're handling people, or a lot of lead flow with just me and David, is like the VAs are comping initially, and I'll go through and just kind of run through and see where the gold nuggets are and hit those. And I'll move the rest of them that don't look good to a follow-up call. And then David goes back and double checks them, because there still could be some gold in there, depending on if the comp was maybe a little bit off or something. So they're getting hit no matter what, but we're just kind of digging. That's how we got those 4 contracts last week, is pretty much digging through the tons of lead flow that we had and a lot of leads. So we're pretty dialed in now. It took a little bit of time to get dialed in, but
we're our year to date right now, KPIs wise, I think we're at 1 in 22 leads to contract. We're like a 22% contract to close. So that's one of like our main kind of sticking points, right? Like I think in August we locked up 9 contracts, right? And we dispoed like 2 of them, right? So that's been like a pretty big
I have something that I just found out about that might help you guys. Have you guys heard of Investor Base?
I don't think so.
Yeah, this is similar to Investor Lift. I just talked to the guy like yesterday, so I haven't like set it up or anything, but one of my friends referred me to it, and I don't know y'all's problem exactly. We can get into that, but I think that this will probably be helpful. But he had a deal in an area that he'd never done a deal in, no buyers at all. They put the property in Investor Base, which is basically like prop stream to find buyers, like cash buyers. So like you put the property in there, and then it literally just populates who's like a cash buyer. My friend said they made 17 phone calls, had 8 walkthroughs, and then sold the deal in like a day. So I think like it's $250 a month, and you get free skip tracing and everything. I think it's like a no-brainer. Yeah,
that's pretty sick.
We can dive into it. I think the first one, he told me there's $200, I think, with my link off the first month, is the guy says it's basically free.
Yeah, and like a deal deep dive into the ones that fell through, and like a lot of them we feel like could have been good proponents, or like would have worked out really well with this MLS strategy too. Like it was just like they were slim, where the sellers just didn't have enough equity or margin to like come down on price. And I feel like if we would have listed like 3 of the 5 of them that fell through, they probably would have been deals.
Were these off-market deals, or are they listed?
Yeah, they're all off.
They're all off market, yeah.
And are they all in markets that you've like never done deals in, basically?
No, 2 of Indianapolis, like pretty prominent markets. What were the other ones? Yeah, they're all in like decent places.
Let me look. So we, out of the ones that fell through, we did the analysis of it. I believe like 6 of them were out of our control. So either like sellers ghosted us, there was some issue that we couldn't really do anything anything with. The rest were either a combination of like, hey, we got it too high, or the mortgage was too high and they wouldn't pivot to sub 2, or there was just no buyers in the area. So I like what Corey said. I think listing a lot of these on market, either as a novation or just like a cash deal, would have been good, just because they were a little bit higher than probably we should have got, like on a couple of them at the very least.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, we'll dive into it anyways, but let's keep going, Braden. Sorry, I got you out of your flow, but let's definitely talk about that one for sure.
So I guess real quick, what do you guys think your guys' bottlenecks are, your areas of struggle?
The main thing is just like a concrete system. We're trying to figure things out as we go, kind of thing. And so having like a very dialed in, okay, this is what happened when a lead comes in. It's a very dialed in system for that, and this is what happens if we lock it up, or here's our follow-up system, and everything's like very granular, and I think that will help a lot. And then obviously on the like increasing our contract to close and then average assignment fee are like the two hard number things that we need to get up. Our close rate, like our lead to contract, is okay. I think our main two things are on the back end with average assignment and our contract to close.
And I'll add that we just SOPs just need to be like more concrete and dialed in. So like, for example, we constantly find ourselves like, I'll call a seller, like I'll get a deal from Brett, right? And then I'll go to dispo it. And then I'll just like, we need like some sort of SOP to like hand off, so that like between Brett and I, right? And then like I just developed like a new checklist that I need, because I kept finding out that like shit, I forgot to get like A, B, or C done for a property. So like I had the VA develop checklist for me, so that now like every deal has a checkbox. So like, do I have photos? Do I have like bed bath count? Is title open? Like all these things before I go to market it, so that everything just gets streamlined. Because right now Lath is managing our investor list. So, and he can't post if he doesn't have the certain parameters, right? So now it's just like getting all these concrete forms together, so that like every time everything is consistent and everything is reliable. And I think that's kind of, we like get lost in the minutia because it isn't like definitive right now. It's like, oh shit, I forgot to ask that question sometimes.
Yeah, Corey's the outsource master.
Yeah, my middle name is delegation.
I think he's trying to delegate. How can I get like my wife's kisses delegated? What can I delegate out? I don't have to do anymore.
Yeah, like my entire life is delegated. It's kind of great.
Well, that's how you run a business, right? You gotta be able to delegate, which now it's exactly what you said there, where it's like SOPs. How do you take your mind on like what works, how you guys make money, and documenting it? That's kind of the next step to turn this into a full-fledged business here. So with that, I'm gonna share this sheet here. So this is gonna be your guys' KPI sheet, which we will go through together. I got a few talking points from talking to you guys there. But first piece, kind of your sales process on, again, documenting everything that you guys do day in, day out, how you guys make money. It's on this checklist tab on your sheet here. We got a bunch of stuff on here. So we'll be going through the KPIs right now. So I'll mark that as in progress. But one good task that you guys could do is the daily optimizer. Basically, it just assigns a dollar amount to the tasks that you guys are doing. So then you could find those low lever tasks and be like, all right, let's delegate it. What sounds like Corey's probably already got everything delegated, but maybe Lath and Brett don't. So that task. But the big thing I want to talk about here is the sales process document. And this is like a good way to kind of start your SOP process right here. There's a little instruction video from Chandler on like, hey, why is this important? But you could see, so this is kind of a sales process. It's got everything documented. This is our LM stuff, our scripts, kind of overcoming some of the conditions, roadblocks, timelines, motivations. You got your offer call stuff. So it's just getting everything on paper on what you guys do. But my big thing as a visual learner.
Corey, I'm also sending you the dispo pipeline statuses to move your deals through, so you have it. That way you can like make sure that gets done.
Is that what this Google Doc is?
No, that one's an intro call. So like what you're talking about, whenever a new contract gets signed, as soon as it happens, like the expectation should be set like with the seller. Because like if sellers should never should very rarely back out as long as the handoff is clean. So like whenever the acquisition manager like locks the deal up, so Brett locks the deal up, hey, Mr. Seller, so next steps, now we got the contract signed, is Corey, he's gonna give you a call, he's gonna take care of you, get your whole everything done for you, walk you through like what the process actually looks like for us to get to the closing table on time. He's gonna be your point person, he's gonna be the guy who gets that all done for you. Here, save his phone number. He's gonna call you in the next 30 to 60 minutes, walk through like all the things he needs. Just all I ask is just like answer his call, be responsive with him, because if you don't, then it makes it really hard for us to do our job. And then basically like you're gonna call him, and then you're gonna do that intro call to where you get all the points you need, reconfirm everything, and then on that call that allows you to set up the pictures, allows you to set up basically what access looks like to the property, so you can get ahead of that and basically like just give the seller really good like feeling that like, hey, like I made the right decision. Hey, these guys know what they're doing. They're going to take care of me, yada, yada, yada. So it's really just puts everything on the right foot. When we started doing that, like our sellers basically very rarely started backing out. Like it happened like every once in a while, but like it just very, very much limited to like
Yeah, I think that would be super valuable right now because I feel like I'm just like stumbling into these phone calls, and then just because I have like a likable personality, we end up over time like creating really good rapport, like to the point where like I joke around with sellers now. Like I'm really tight with my sellers, but like those first two calls are like really rough. Like I'm dealing with it like right now with Frank, right? One of our sellers who is like he's worried about his tenant, and like I'm just trying to like smooth it out, be fine with it. But it's rough because I don't have a consistent script when I call initially. And I think that will solve that a lot. Right. Because then I'll have a checklist of things that I need to know. Because then, like, also on the other side of this, I'm dealing with the buyers who are always like, oh, yeah, like, so what's access like? I'm like, you can get in there. Like, don't worry about it. I don't know.
You'll see on the script.
Okay.
It'll help.
Appreciate it.
This is the sales process, but you're gonna want to do this for both departments. And I actually have a sweet dispo TC process that somebody sent me that I'll drop in your guys' Discord after this too. But again, it's just taking your guys' brain, putting us on paper, because eventually, to scale us up, we're gonna have to bring people in. So we want to make it as smooth as possible. So this is when a new lead comes in. So it's like, all right, Brett answers it. He's gonna go through his initial call, less than 4 minutes if it's not qualified, 10 to 15 if it's qualified, determine, is it motivated? Yes or no. If not, all right, we'll put them in cold follow, put them on a drip, whatever. If they're motivated, we'll schedule that calendar link, and then sales will take over from here. Sales will get on that call, do their offer call, and you can see, the average of the offer call is more than 30 minutes. Most sellers take multiple 60-minute calls. So it's just taking your guys' brain, how you guys make money in this, putting it on paper so that you make it repeatable. Every person that you talk to, you should be going through this process A to Z every time. Any questions on this?
And so on like auto, for example, so going back to this chart, if I click on this like little like notepad icon, that's like the text and email thing.
You can add that in if you want. And you can make it as complex or simple as you want. So the one I'll send you guys is pretty complex, but it's pretty cool just to kind of see a chart on, all right, this is what happens if this happens. So I'll send it to you guys. It's really good. Yeah, you can just take these sheets, make a copy of it. If you want to use some of our scripts, if you guys have your own, just plug and play. That way you guys have basically, a whole sales Bible that once you start bringing people on, hey, this is what we do. This is how we're going to do it. And this is the scripts that we're going to use. Just put your brain on paper. So that will be a good one. And then the other one is MLS. So right now you guys aren't doing any novations.
We have 3.
You guys got it down. You just should have listed these other ones.
Yeah, well, so we were doing like Novation King style where it's like as is, or doesn't need anything to end buyers. We've never listed something that wouldn't qualify for like an FHA loan.
Yeah, you can definitely do it. You will get buyers, you'll get cash buyers. So, I like listing stuff because it is the biggest, buyers list in the world, the MLS. But ultimately having a good process, all right, we'll send it off market for these first 3 to 4 or 5 days. After that, all right, let's pivot. But obviously that goes into making sure, you got the POA, the expectation set with the buyer on or seller, what's going to go on. But we have our whole MLS sheet here, little instruction video, and then again, an SOP A to Z, how to do the novations. But it sounds like you guys kind of got it down.
Go to the very top, Braden. If you do, there's a video of like how to turn high price contracts into MLS deals. That one could be beneficial. Y'all have any things that are like off market that need to be on the MLS? Could watch that video and give that a rip. That's what we've done to convert them.
Got it. And so the MLS strategy is a novation.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's just the way that we do it.
So on here, it's got our MAO calculator, that you can punch in your numbers to know what you can offer. Some live calls from the team doing it, scripts, our contracts, closing strategy. So anything MLS related, you'll be able to find on this document here. So a few things on there. And then we can kind of talk about the other stuff later. A bunch of a la carte stuff, daily huddles for your teams, accountability charts, process maps, all that stuff. So we can talk about that later. But for now, do the KPI stuff and then just getting your sales process documented will be big. So
I think one of you guys mentioned SOPs and stuff, having that dialed in. Basically, for the SOPs, I wouldn't like over process anything. This is just like a thing I want to add in here. Like, don't feel like you need to over process everything, because if it feels too like restricted, then like you might slow the business down. And another thing is like you could just spend all your time process mapping and like making all these procedures. Like have things that are important, like dispo, sales process, like those 2 things I sent in the Discord. Another sheet called increase your average deal size. That sheet, and then all this stuff with getting the dispo stuff right. I mean, those 2 things are going to be really valuable in y'all increasing your deal size and your close rate. would like go through those. And then there's one other exercise that we have that I would do and that I'm sure Braden's going to tell everyone to do, but where you do like a deal review and you want to review your best deals, like your best like 15 deals or however many deals you have, and see like what is like producing the most revenue for the company. So like where like I'm sure there's deals you guys have done that are like 30, 40, $50,000, or maybe it's just bigger than, you know, average. Well, it's like, okay, how do we shift our marketing to target more of those better opportunities? And that's what the deal review is going to show you. So like, for example, we learned that 3-bedroom, 2.5 baths produced like they were worth twice as much to us as any other lead. We also found like certain cities, like our deal size is like $50,000 in these cities, whereas our average is like 35. So it's like we can just take small tweaks and like within the marketing in our CRM and within our marketing just cold out to sellers, we were able to drastically affect the ROI we actually were seeing. And like once we put this stuff into play, when we opened up a new market, actually, we like got a crazy return. We put 25K in and got 600,000 out. So that was by just targeting like a really, really, really small micro niche set of like our highest return information data and stuff like that. So I think that'll be very helpful for
Sick.
y'all.
What's your opinion? Because whenever you speak, you're like, we to like a market. What is your opinion of our current strategy? Like, as in, like, because like even when we were onboarding with Corey, my counterpart, even when we were onboarding with Corey, I was just like glancing at like the other markets your clients are running ads in, and like our number of markets was like significantly larger than most of your other clients.
Yeah. My opinion is like, and Braden, I know you have a good opinion on this too. My opinion, because I just like actually worked with a guy, his name is Devin. I can send you the video we did with him, but he was doing something similar to y'all. And we actually like, he had like almost identical numbers. His average deal size was like 7 or 8 grand, or maybe it's 12 grand. I think it's like 7 or 8 grand. And now his average deal size this last quarter, after like 6 or 7 months of like implementing stuff, his average deal size was 25K. And what he did was he paired back, we did a deal review, you know, optimized dispo, optimized some other things, whatever. And then from that stuff and just focusing on like better areas and better deals, his deal size was 25K. And so he actually did deals, had less marketing spend, less revenue or less closings, and then he had more revenue, more profit.
I wonder if it'd be a good strategy. The reason we've been doing that is like stuff we can't dispo ourselves, we pass up to Novation King because we're like, okay, if they're really super cheap leads, there's a lot of garbage in there, but there's gold in there too. Like some of the novations we got, we passed off, and they're like 30K plus deals. I wonder if down the road we could have that as a system where we're just having a couple workers go through and just get those leads in Novation King. So we also are adding the 7 or 8K deals to our pipeline, and then us focusing more on like the 30 or 40 or 50K ones.
Yeah. It depends on your return on investment. So you have bandwidth, which is like total time that you're able to invest in doing something, and you have the output that time gets you, right? So that's your ROI. So what I would do is like you roughly want to have like an understanding of like what's your ROI per lead you're targeting. Basically, it's like how much does this lead make me versus that lead. And it doesn't have to be so dialed in, but I'll give you like an example, a very simple example. Is one of the Loom videos I sent you guys, it tells this, but basically our good leads and good locations produce us like a 7x ROI. Our bad leads and bad locations, which just means like bad property types, is like a bad lead, or a good lead is like what is the property itself, like what we want. So bad lead, bad location produce a negative ROI. So you could look at that and say, okay, well, damn, so I think the numbers were, we spent like $50,000 on bad leads and made like $50,000. That's no money. The other ones we spent like $80,000 or $90,000 on, and we made like 7 times whatever that was. So whatever the number is. And so the math is like, okay, well, sure, yes, I'm still making money. But what I would do is take the 30% or whatever, like that really bad ROI, completely cut it. It'll still come into your system, and then you can just monetize those leads effectively, like in whatever way it is. So like if you still get those leads naturally, then you can refer them out. But like for us, like if we were spending 30% of our budget on terrible producing ROI, we should just like cancel that out and then move that to a better place or save the money or whatever. And so we went from like 50% of our appointments being like good lead, good location, to 90% of our appointments being good lead, good location. So like there's still some bad leads that are going to come in, and having a way to monetize them is good, but you don't want to like maximize that. So like I wouldn't like make that a strategy if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
And so like quantifying a bad lead, it's mostly like property type or market, or in your guys' case, how are you looking at that?
I looked at it So the deal review is like what you have to do in order to find it. In the video, you'll see like I'll explain like how I crunch the data in a ton of different ways. So I made it simple for y'all. You don't have to go through the painstaking stuff I did, but you'll just have to basically, I have two categories. It's like the type of property and it's also the location, like you said. So it's like like know what locations are good, know what locations are less good, right? It doesn't have to be like super black and white. It could just be like, these are maybe like an A, B, C category or whatever you want. It's like, this is the best, this is like good, this is like shit, something like that. And then like property types is like just understanding like, okay, well, I found out of all of the revenue we'd ever done, which was at that point probably like $8 or $9 million in gross profit, that 95% of all the profit we've ever done was from 2 to 4 bedroom houses. So right there, I'm like, okay, well, why would I ever fucking have a 1 bedroom property or something 5 bedrooms or bigger ever come into my system? It's a complete waste of my time. It's not that you'll find something like that every time. It won't be this, it may not be the exact same thing we found, but you'll find a trend of like what's better, whether it's a little bit better or a lot better, and you what's a little bit worse and a way worse. And like you'll be able to like kind of like basically the way that I understand it's like if you had to say like to someone like what's the best lead in your system, they're gonna say like someone who's like motivated to sell. And you're like, okay, well, the eviction, divorce, whatever, like all that kind of stuff. So like that's one core piece of it is like the actual seller. But the piece that everyone misses is like the actual product you're selling. Because the product is what creates the demand. And the way Dispo works is it's all supply and demand. And so if you're supplying shit products to the market that has no demand, then you're not going to make any money. And so you want to reverse engineer what has the most demand and sell that, and then you'll make way more money.
That makes so much sense. You're probably not going to make a lot of money on like a 1-1 or any condo with
Who's
with
buying
like a high
one?
HOA.
Yeah, who's buying a one, like, yeah, unless it's a turnkey retail property that is a retail
Yeah.
buyer, like, you can make money on that. But like, yeah, a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, like, no one really wants to buy a 1 bedroom, 1 bath property, like, at all.
Because your tenant supply, even if you're renting it out, your tenant supply is so limited. Because like what average family doesn't need 2 bedrooms?
Yeah, and to buy a 2 bedroom versus a 1 bedroom, it's not much more expensive. 1 bedroom sucks. So like get those out of there. Obviously it's digital, so it's a little bit harder to like do that, but I'm sure you can train the pixel and kick out 1 bedroom leads or whatever. You can set that up a certain way. I don't know if that's like would actually work. I've never tested it, but I'm just like throwing ideas out there. So anyways.
So you're also formulating like so even though you're pandering to other buyers' buy boxes, you're also developing your own buy box so that you have like a go, no go as soon as you see it.
Yeah, sort of. But I'm just looking at like strictly like economics, like what does the market want? And then my job, and they want the most, because I know if they want it the most, then like if I can get it, then I'll make more money. So if it's like more desirable, you'll make more money, essentially is how it works, which makes total sense. Like if you think about it, like,
yeah, I feel like you could reverse engineer that by just looking at what's sold the most on Investor Lift and whatever market we're marketing to.
Yeah, you could do that. I like looking at deal review too, because like sometimes there's also internal tendencies. Like what I realize is like there's like if we had a really crazy fallout rate with like properties that were in rural areas because we couldn't comp them. So like that's like one thing. So that's like an internal thing we do bad and we could just correct. Also another thing too is like if we were in a city where it's kind of street by street because we were virtual, we didn't know all the intricacies, like that's an opportunity for growth. But it's like, hey, like if we're going to open up a new market, let's not go to an inner city. Let's go to somewhere that's a suburb and let's go there because that's where we're better. So like knowing these things about like what your tendencies are of like what you do better is also super important. That's why I say do the deal review, but then pair that with like what does just the market itself say. And then when you have those two crossovers, you'll know like you'll be able to better pinpoint like what do you do well that like naturally that you don't have to try harder on, and you can lean into that. And then that's going to be like, the 80-20 within the 80-20 where you get like an outsized return.
That's a really good point.
So, but you're right. You want to crossover market with like yourself. It's super important to have that. So yeah.
Well, it was a good conversation. Yeah, I already had the deal review on from the first second we started talking. I'm like, all right, just looking at your numbers, you can tell immediately the bottleneck is contracts to sold deal and that average, deal size. Because up here, so this is our manufacturing line where we'll be able to kind of like project things out. But first we need to kind of know where you guys are at. But for an inbound company, like this is where I would expect you guys to be at. New leads, 60% convert to net leads. Do you guys know what a net lead is?
No.
Net lead is basically somebody that once they hit the CRM, we call them, they answer, we confirm they are the owner, can sell the property. So basically we get in contact. 55% of those convert to appointments to offers at 80%, offers, contracts 25, contracts to close deal at 75%. And ideally, hopefully this. So this is like, because you guys are getting about 300 leads, so probably about 100 a month, right? So it's like, this is where I would expect you guys to be. And I don't think you guys are far off. Maybe we'll discover some inefficiencies as we start tracking the numbers. But right now it's just like, all right, how do we fix this contract to sold deals in this assignment size? Which exactly is going to be, you're in a lot of markets. I've seen it done successfully, but yes, it's just going to take more bandwidth to do it. Where exactly what Chandler was just saying, I'd rather do 1 25K deal in Georgia versus, five 5K deals in Indiana, because it's just gonna be less bandwidth. It's gonna be less expectations for you. You have to talk with sellers and deal with that. So we'll be able to look at your deal review and be like, all right, should we cut that market? Should we not? Should we double down on this market? Should we not? So I'll send that video over here.
And you guys will be able to help us like walk through that decision-making process of like, what do we cut and what do we keep?
Yeah. If you guys just want to put it on a tab on here, I'll send you the video, watch it. If you want to put on a tab on here, drop in your Discord, tag Chandler and I, we'll review it. We can send a Loom video, or you have my calendar link too, so we could jump on a call and review it together.
Yeah, because I think that's something that we struggle with, because we're always like, I think we're always like bouncing around our ads like constantly. And it's just like, it's like a moving target. And I feel like if we just could like hone in and have guidance on like how to focus and like just do like the one thing, right? Or whatever on a couple things, I think that would also greatly, because like it's economies of scale at that point.
We'll kind of like project it out. All right, this is where we should be. So we won't be using this manufacturer line too much, but we will be using this company stoplight. Are you guys tracking like KPIs right now? Do you guys have your own KPI sheet?
Yeah, we need to, that's one of the things too, especially with like having our lead manager we brought on recently, like keeping them accountable with accurate KPIs and getting all that nailed down. But we do have one. It's not super great though.
Perfect. Well, this is your sheet. So if you guys want to transition to this, you can. If you want to move stuff over here, don't worry about breaking anything, mess it up. I'll be able to fix it for you. But as far as KPIs, and we'll track it week over week, and then we'll kind of come in here and formulate, all right, this is where we actually are. And then we'll hold you accountable, because we'll use the manufacturer line saying, all right, if we get 100 leads, hopefully we should be something like this. We'll take this out into a weekly metric, put it right here, and then, we'll start marking it. We call this a stoplight because we'll mark it green, yellow, red, just to kind of quickly identify trends. If you see 3-4 red days or red weeks, all right, we have an issue. Like, let's sit down and talk about it. Do we have to change the process? Is it something with the employee that's running that department? So that's where we'll be able to kind of identify the bottlenecks on what's going on. And then same thing, as you mentioned, accountability for your team. We'll do that for our team as well. Create this stoplight, just put your numbers in, green, yellow, red. Again, accountability is a big thing. I think that's where a lot of people lack is, having that accountability, because, it is a business at the end of the day. We're here to make money. So we want to make sure everyone's performing to what our standards should be, which should also ultimately backtrack to employees' compensation goals and ultimately kind of your company goal as well. Any questions on kind of these KPIs here?
So for the appointments, like for virtual, that's like an offer or a process call, I assume, right?
So it's kind of like, it's still like a judgment thing, but all right, it's after, the LM talks to them, or maybe Brett talks to them, and they're like, okay, that person's ready for an offer. The timeline, the motivation makes sense. And I'm going to give them an offer. That's when I would track it as that appointment.
Got it.
But a lot of this stuff will be automated, like your CRM. On that topic, what are you guys using now? I know you were talking about moving to close.
We're on REI Sift right now, but yeah, we want to jump to close.
Right. We just moved to Asana.
Asana. Okay. I haven't used Asana as like a CRM because they don't have a phone system in there, do they?
See, that's the problem that we need to solve. And does Close have that?
Yeah. So with Close, we could jump on another call and talk about this too. My team was on Close. We just moved off it because it was expensive. So to kind of have the automations I wanted to have in reporting, you had to have the middle tier, which is like $200, and then you had to have $100 per user. So we were spending like $500-600 a month on Close. And I'm like, okay, that's a little much. Where now I've white labeled high level, called it HQ Flow, but it has all the statuses, all the reporting built in there, unlimited users, and it's $75 a month. So it could be a good option for you guys as well.
Does it have the call and text function?
Yeah, you just have to do the 10DLC to be able to text, which, once you put your website in, it usually pretty quick on the brand, but the campaign, that usually takes about like a week or two.
Yeah, because one of the other sticking points that we have is that like we have these really good VAs, but like I want to use them externally more. Right. But like they don't have phones, and it's just like, sometimes I just want them to text someone and be like, hey, can you just go get this information from so-and-so? And we don't have that. And it's really frustrating. We're trying to figure that out.
Yeah, then HQ Flow will be super beneficial for you guys. It's got all the drip campaigns built out. So, if we go to call somebody on that first contact, they don't answer, you put it in working, it's automatically going to start texting them every day for 7 days plus. It's got appointment reminders when you schedule stuff with sellers. So there's a lot of stuff in there. And if you guys want to schedule a separate call, we could deep dive that. Obviously, I'll be there to kind of help onboard you, get your data in there and everything like that too. So
yeah, we're probably going to stop recommending Close and move over to recommending the Go High Level build out that Braden has. just because it's way cheaper and custom to exactly like what we want in there anyways. So it's better.
One of the, I mean, just for your information, and it's also a little pricey, but a seller or a buyer recommended this to me today. Follow Up Boss. And it was like really cool. We were on the phone talking about the deal, and he was just like, literally, I could hear him typing, and it was just immediately texting me while we were on the phone together. And he said he swears by it, and he's got a pretty big team.
Yeah, I've heard pretty good things from Follow Up Boss.
Follow Up Boss Podio. I think Follow Up Boss is built on, is it its own thing, or I thought it was built on Podio? I'd have to look.
Yeah, we just Google it really quick.
You guys can use any CRM you want, as long as it can track your KPIs right here, and you could do the phone system. It's got the drip campaigns. You really could do whatever you want, as long as it's got those three things. Like, I'm cool with it. We could talk about the setup. So you want to check that. So what else you guys got? You guys have any questions on all this so far?
No, I mean, on my end, I think that's all pretty clear.
Yeah, I'd say biggest things would be like do the deal review, understand what's good, what's bad in your business. We'll go through, talk about it, what changes need to be made, sales stuff. So like Brett from your side would go through like the sales process stuff, really just get that honed in. Not that like you can't, and the reason I say that is like you guys might be really dialed in, but you can never be good enough on sales because that is literally the lifeblood of the business. So the day you stop learning new ways to do sales and how to improve your process is the day you stop growing as a business. That's my true belief. That's a very important place to invest your time and energy. And then like dispo stuff, where I sent a ton of stuff to you, so you'll have plenty of things. And then Lath, I think like from the deal review, you'll probably have a lot of actions to move through. And then the CRM, obviously, get that set up.
I do have a quick question. The ads right now, should we keep everything going the way it's going, or should we dial that back? When should we start?
If you know there's a change you should make, then just go ahead and make the change. If you don't have any idea, then don't go change stuff. If you're like, man, like when we get a lead in this place, it sucks. Hate it. It never sells, never does anything. Turn it off. If you're like, I don't know anything about anything, then like I wouldn't change it until you do the deal review. But I almost guarantee, Brett, that you have like a couple states or one or two locations. You're like, dude, I hate leads here because I can't comp it. Shit doesn't make any sense, whatever it might be. And then I just like turn that off. Yeah.
It's typically like the area in a state, because we could get like Ohio, there's some great places, but then there's also a couple areas that are like hateful. So it's like the area in the state almost.
Yeah, Facebook's just tough because like if the person is in the middle of nowhere or is in like town but lives in the middle of nowhere, you're gonna get that lead.
Yeah, because they can't sell it anywhere else, so it comes to us.
That's the hardest part about digital. The one thing I'd recommend is investor base. I went and we looked at a really rural population area, like 10,000 people, and there was like 50 buyers that came up. Now, I don't know how accurate it was, but if it's as accurate as like when we looked in Atlanta, because I saw like two of my friends, their cell phone numbers, and they buy like 15 deals a month, each of those guys, and it was their cell phones on there. I was like, damn, that's pretty good. Then like it's at least worth a try. It's $200 a month. It's like
that's for sure.
Do you guys have like standards in terms of these metrics that we can do like a baseline kind of comparison? Obviously, we want to compare to ourselves and you know improve that, but either like coaching wide or whatever, we can be like, hey, this is obviously like super off or something.
Yeah, I can share my screen. So in that column right here, like this is what I would expect for an inbound marketing, process. So this is where I would expect you to be. Some of these numbers over here is like if it was like a cold call team. But yeah, as you said, like it might be hard to get some of these numbers, but the more numbers you can get on all this stuff, all right, then we'll identify your efficiencies. And once we get rolling on that weekly meeting cadence and you guys kind of got everything dialed in, that's when it's just gonna be, all right, let's, look at our numbers, identify the bottleneck and talk about how we could fix it.
107 leads in a month, right? Okay. Alpha like a 7,500 spend. It says 6 to 7K spend. Is that accurate?
Now that's what I put in for us. But yeah, that's about what we're doing.
Yeah, I think the bottom is like our.
You guys need the deal size bigger and to convert more deals.
Yeah.
So I would focus really hard on contract quality. And the only way to know if a contract's good or not is to know if your leads are good or not and what monetizes at the best rate. So be super, super strict on contract quality. And Corey, that's going to take a lot of communication from you back to Brett to like be like, hey, bro, like this shit sucked. Like, don't send me contracts like this. Or hey, dude, this was really good. Like I like.
He already does that.
I'm like, stop sending this. Okay, so like I think I'm doing it, but like, how can I do it better? What are the red flags?
You guys just need to know what the deal is that is really good. You need to know how to identify a lead and look at it and be like, that's a great lead for us. Like I like that lead. That's a good lead.
I think we just.
And then be strict about it. Like what I literally every day, bro, I looked at when we were implementing this every day, I looked and counted how many new leads we got and how many were good leads and how many were bad leads. And every time I told my marketing guy, I said, hey, bro, why do we have 40% bad leads today? Like, what are we doing? It should be 80%. And then we did the same thing for appointments and told the same guy, I said, hey, like, what's going on? Like, why is this wrong? And like getting the team involved. And it took like a month of implementing that every day, but you just have to have a high standard. standard for that, and then eventually gets fixed.
Yeah, and just real quick on this sheet. So once we start tracking your weekly stuff in over a month, we'll know kind of what your conversions are. That's when we'll be able to come into the sheet and enter it in. So for the most part, we're just going to be changing this bottom number right here, the contracts number. But once we know your numbers, we'll come in here and change our percentages. So I just kind of edit it right here. All right, we're closing at 21%. We're averaging 8K. So it's like, all right, if nothing changed right now, and if we wanted to get to like, 50K, you don't have to do 30 contracts, which is crazy. Obviously, it's not going to happen that way because things are going to improve here. But once we know your baselines, then you can come in here and kind of project things out. But hopefully they get you closer to these numbers over here.
I think it would be a good idea, Leif, maybe to add a column to the left of January to just show where we're at so we can just track our progress as we move forward. It'd be a cool little thing to see like where we're at, where we need to be, and then you can just see it every month as we get better.
Oh, it's starting point. I like that idea.
Yeah, sure.
So if you guys want to put your numbers in here on where you guys are at, and then we can formulate it and then obviously watch the progression as we go along.
Yeah, we'd like to get to 300K a month profit. So that'd probably be more like 350 to 400, but then 100K net each of us profit per month.
It's doable.
Very doable.
That's like fucking mind-blowing numbers. How much, so if you are netting like, I don't know, like how much, what's your spend to make that typically? Like, is it like a 3x, 4x, 5x?
I'd shoot for like a 5x. 5x is like what you want to shoot for.
Wow.
And
So if you're
sometimes-
spending 50, you're making 2 3s. Okay.
Yeah. I'd say 3x is the minimum, but 5 is perfect.
Yeah, 3 is hard to scale on because think about percent of revenue. 3x, your 33% of revenue is an expense. 5x, your 20%. So that's a 13% swing in your margin. So the higher you can get, and like this is why I think like once you get to like 150K a month gross, you really, and like that's like what, like $30-ish thousand a month in spend usually. To scale, it's all about like increasing ROI so you can like add better players, which is like adding free marketing channels, adding lower cost marketing channels, and like finding out how can we get our ROI closer to 10x. Because as you go from 20% of your spend or your revenue being marketing and you can go to 10%, well, now you just opened up 10% of your revenue to hire better talent to replace you guys out of making decisions and better talent to go and close deals and do all that kind of stuff. So just attract better talent.
And you guys will be able to like guide our scaling of ads as we go. Be like, hey, I think this is like a good point to scale from 7,500 to 10K a month or something like that.
Yeah, we'll be able to help you make those decisions.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's where kind of this sheet where I'm showing right here, your stats. This is how you're going to tell. Because at some point, there's going to be a threshold where you're not going to be able to scale Facebook anymore. Like putting more money into it doesn't mean more money's going to come out. So it's like, all right, once we hit that sweet point, all right, where can we go to a different marketing choice? So you guys already got YouTube, which I think will help as well. But that's where these kind of marketing stats pages will come into play. And you'll be able to enter your information on here. You could do it daily. I tell people you could also just do it weekly, but then it'll populate over here. And then we could say, all right, what's our cost per appointment? What's our cost per contract? And ultimately, what's our return on ad spend to, kind of make decisions on what we should do. So this will be coming. This is kind of like a phase 2. Like first, it's like, all right, let's get everything, systems documented. Let's get the normal KPIs going. And then in a few weeks, that's when we'll start getting into specific marketing stuff. Or if Leif ever wants to jump in, now, we can.
All right, gentlemen, I do have to roll to an appointment though. So I appreciate y'all being here. I believe that you guys left with a lot of good takeaways. So if we can implement those things thoroughly, then we'll start to see the trend. Will this be like, I think the dispo, the contract to close deal and the average deal size is not going to be something that's like fixed tomorrow. It's going to take like 3 months of like steady focus and iteration to fix it. But if you can double both of those, then like you'll 4x your business. I think and you guys can more than double both of those conversions. Like you should be able to triple them both actually. So that's a 9x. So
Sweet. Sounds good.
That's good, man. Appreciate it.
all right, gentlemen, I'll see you guys later.
Have a good evening.
Peace.
Welcome to the group.
Welcome to the group. I got a few notes that I'll send over in you guys' Discord right now. Brett, I'll send you an email with the Discord link and the call calendar. And I'll also send over my Calendly so that you guys can schedule your next call. And honestly, if you guys want to schedule a call for tomorrow or Friday to review the CRM, I'll show you around what HQ flow is and I'll let you guys make a decision on what you guys want to do there. So if someone wants to throw some time on there, I'll show you around, see if you guys want to do it, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, let's definitely do
Sweet.
that. I'd like to be walked through it to see like what it is. Because
Yeah.
I'm tired of bouncing around. I just want to find something and do it.
Yeah, and that's why I moved from close. I closed again, super solid, out of the box, clean product. But the scalability of it from like a team standpoint, I'm not paying $600 a month per CRM. And if I am, I'm gonna go do Salesforce. This is like super scalable from my perspective. And I think there's gonna be a lot of good things. So yeah, I'll show you guys around. So I'll send my calendar link. And if you guys want to throw some time on there, I'll show you around. Well, it was nice meeting you guys and got me in Discord. So if you guys need anything, shoot me a message. But yeah, welcome in.
Hey guys, so really quick, I want to share some results from our recent client survey that we did, where we found that we added an additional $196,693 per year year to our clients' businesses. And this isn't by telling them to go and spend tons of more money and bloat their business just to get their revenue numbers up. No, this is going through a simple 7-step process that we call the guide to growth that helps them go and make more money in their business without having to spend another dollar. All we're about. And so I'm going to share with you a little bit about what this guide to growth actually is here on my screen. All right, guys, so taking a look at the guide to growth, it's honestly super simple because all we have to do is troubleshoot in your business to find out where the actual problem is. And since we've broken it down into 7 sectors into a wholesale business, into a manufacturing line, lead to net to appointment, appointment to offer, offer to contract, contract to sold deal, and average deal size, all we have to do is understand compared to industry standard, compared to our clients' results, where do you stack up? And then for something as simple as deal sizes, if you're not 10% of median home price, then you should be able to get it to 10% of median home price. So if it's $350,000 like in Atlanta, your average deal size should be $35,000 plus or minus a little bit. And so if you're not, we're going to identify that. We're going to come down to the guide to growth and understand where the KPI targets should be, what are the core variables, and what are some possible solutions. And we would do something like this, where we'd hand you an SOP and hold your hand and implement it with you step by step on how to buy deals for less, how to sell deals for more, and how to flip higher price point homes so that you can increase your average deal size and release your bottleneck. All we're going to be focused on is growing your company without spending another dollar. And so if this is something that you're interested in remotely at all, where we'd come into your business and show you exactly how we'd implement the guide to growth for you, then all you need to do is go down below this video, click the link to book a call with our team, where we'll walk you through step by step on our roadmap of how we grow your company utilizing our process. So if that's interesting at all, go down below this video and click the link, book a call with our team. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one.